Hey y'all, Georgie here, and welcome back to another urgent update. This is going to be for the potential tropical cyclone that is currently located over portions of eastern Cuba, as it is expected to become Tropical Storm Debbie as it enters the eastern Gulf of Mexico, hits into Florida, and potentially makes another landfall along the Carolinas. Let's go right on into today's urgent video. We're going to start off, of course, with the National Hurricane Center. This is potential tropical cyclone 4 out here. This is their main page. We're going to look at first our cone here of uncertainty, and there you go. Yeah, you can see that we do have tropical storm watches up now for the Florida Keys. We have a tropical storm warning that is actually in effect just north of the Florida Keys. And then additionally, a tropical storm watch that is also in place up here towards west central Florida. So quite a few watches and warnings already out. These are going to continue to be issued along the coastline of Florida, as well as probably up into the Carolinas as we go throughout the rest of today, tomorrow, and into the next couple days. Remember, those watches will also be upgraded to warnings as we also get closer towards the potential landfall of this system. Currently located, like I said, over eastern Cuba as a potential tropical cyclone. It should stay as such all the way until it gets towards a tropical storm right at the Florida Keys, right about 5 to 8 p.m. on Saturday Eastern Time. Should be paralleling just west of central Florida at about 8 p.m. Sunday morning. And then sometime Sunday, it's a little bit of uncertainty here, but sometime Sunday could be very early, potentially as early as 8 a.m., could be very late as potentially as 11 p.m. We're going to see landfall here in western Florida. It could be anywhere along this entire cone. So we're still talking about, possibly as far west as portions like near Tallahassee. It's a little bit east of Tallahassee, all the way back down towards the Florida Keys. So just keep in mind that this depression, eventually Tropical Storm Debbie, will move anywhere in this cone. So it could go like this. It could go more to the west and head up like this and then out and around. It could go right in the middle of the cone. There's so many different possibilities for this storm. So just make sure you are staying hyper weather aware if you're anywhere inside, in and around, I should say, in and around this cone of uncertainty. Before we get into the rest of the video, if you guys can, make sure you hit that like button and more importantly, share this video with your family, friends, social media, especially anyone you know in the southeast, in this general vicinity here. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe with the notification bell set to also, when I go live or upload a video. We will probably have a live weather update later on tonight, pending on if I chase those severe storms out in Virginia, North Carolina today. Here is your current look at satellite imagery. This is going to be, again, a potential tropical cyclone 4. Not doing too well. I will say the circulation is a lot better today. You could kind of see this broad circulation, a very broad circulation in this entire region here. It still doesn't seem to be too well defined. It looked a bit better really early this morning, closer towards like 4 a.m. It actually looked decent enough, but now it's kind of broken apart. We're going to continue to see that until it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, probably sometime around, if I go back here, yeah, Saturday. Just wanted to make sure I was correct about that. Here is going to be your GFS model run. Takes it into Florida as a tropical storm and then moves it along the Carolina coastline as a hurricane, potentially even getting as strong as a Category 2 hurricane and then skimming the outer banks of North Carolina. If that does happen, I will consider a chase for this tropical system. We'll just see what occurs here, but it's probably going to stay. I'm definitely leaning towards more of offshore, but we still could have some tropical storm force impacts along the coastline areas of the Carolinas up towards potentially as far north as Virginia Beach. Here's your European model. It's going to show generally the same thing, although a lot weaker for Florida, probably barely even pushing a tropical depression for western Florida. The European may not have a good hold on the sea surface temperatures being very favorable. And then same ordeal, skimming the coastline of North Carolina, South Carolina, and actually the European model has it making landfall towards Wilmington, North Carolina as a probably a weak tropical storm, and then eventually moving out to sea there. Here's your tropical guidance tracks provided by tropicaltidbits.com. I'm going to move you guys over just slightly so you can see this a little bit better. You can see all of our tracks are really, there's two different spreads here, but most of them are locking in west central Florida. You can see some still want to take this very close to just east of Tallahassee in the Big Bend area of Florida, but a good chunk are going to take this right where the National Hurricane Center has their center going, and then eventually, like I said, nicking the the coastline of North Carolina, South Carolina, then moving out to sea. So we will watch very, very closely for like the Outer Banks. I'll move y'all up a little bit. Keep it a very close eye on like the Outer Banks, Myrtle Beach, just the coastline areas of North and South Carolina for a very close call of a tropical storm or hurricane. Here's those tracks with the GEFS or the GFS ensembles. You can see quite a good amount of consistency that this storm will stay a depression until after the Keys. And then after the Keys, we get a very quick tropical storm for probably about a day, weakens over Florida. And then you can see, look at all these yellows, oranges, and reds. Those are some opportunities of this becoming a hurricane as it goes off the coastline of South Carolina and North Carolina. So I'm watching that very, very closely. This is your current surface plot as of about 1530Z. So that's going to be about 15 minutes ago as of the time of this recording. That is your low pressure center right over east central Cuba. So it's not over the water, which means it's probably not going to intensify and shouldn't intensify until it eventually goes over the water sometime, probably early Saturday, just south of the Keys. Here's your GEPS tracks. Really all over the place. These are this is kind of just to show you how much uncertainty there is today on the exact track of this. I'll move my face cam so you can see that just a bit better there. So that actually pushes it right into even west of the Big Bend of Florida, even into Tallahassee. So that is still an option as well. We'll keep an eye on that. And then here is your tropical cyclone guidance. The ship's model actually takes us to a low-end category 2 off the coastline of North and South Carolina about 84 hours from now. But the majority of these models are going to have it. You can see this intensification phase once it gets into the Gulf right here. In about 24 hours, there's a very sharp increase in intensification of these model runs and ensembles that do show this potentially becoming a tropical storm. That is forecasted at this moment. We're expecting Tropical Storm Debbie to be a thing here, to be designated probably in about 24 to 48 hours. Here's a European ensemble guidance. I'm going to zoom this in just slightly so you can see it a bit better. This is your European ensemble guidance. And again, most of these are actually going to be a tropical depression to very close to a tropical storm. And then once it goes towards North Carolina, South Carolina, tropical storm to a hurricane. So a big difference between the European and the GFS ensembles. GFS ensembles show a tropical storm hitting west central Florida, maybe even a depression, and then intensifying into a category 1, maybe even pushing category 2 intensity there for the Outer Banks of North Carolina there. So again, just to go over your cone of uncertainty, remember that the center of eventually Tropical Storm Debbie, which is currently potential tropical cyclone 4, could track anywhere inside this cone of uncertainty. We could see the center go over west central Florida. We could see the center even go as close to as just southeast of Tallahassee, and then eventually we could see a landfall later down the line towards the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Just to show you guys the peak storm surge, not really expecting too much here. Upwards of 3-foot storm surge. The greatest area that's probably going to be at risk for storm surge will be Charlotte Harbor and Tampa Bay, Florida, with the potential of up to 3-foot storm surge. But we could also see up to 3-foot storm surge a little bit more south and north of that area as well. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. The biggest issue at this moment looks to be the potential for excessive rainfall, potentially over a foot of rainfall wherever this storm makes landfall, which currently is forecasted to be just barely to the north, maybe just to the west of Tampa Bay, Florida. And then eventually, again, like I said, moves off the coastline, potentially impacting portions of the coastline areas of North and South Carolina. Could see some isolated 6 to 8 inches of rainfall out towards Charleston, as well as Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, maybe into Wilmington. Could see 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. So just keeping a very close eye on that flooding potential. That is going to be your biggest issue. This is all your flash flooding risks over the next 5 days. Even Charlotte is actually inside. I know you guys can't see that. I'll go up a bit. Charlotte is actually inside that slight risk level 2 out of 4 for excessive rainfall. Charleston, Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Savannah, Augusta, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa Bay, Miami. all under that level 2 out of 4 for the potential of excessive rainfall. And like I said, we could see some amounts up to a foot, generally west and north of Tampa Bay, wherever this system decides to make landfall, which is quite uncertain at this moment. And I believe that is going to be about it. I mean, here's our wind speed probabilities, but these are definitely going to change as this system will form into a tropical storm. But highest chance for tropical storm force wind speeds is going to be on the western coastline of Florida. So that is going to be it for today's urgent update. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys in hopefully tonight's live stream on August 2nd. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.